Welcome to the channel. My name is Matthias. Today we're going to talk about Excalibur and the one-shot The Possession. And like many other one-shots during this time, maybe a run would not have an annual, but they would get these. And many times they would be testing grounds for new writers or artists. And many of these one-shots were like introductory stories for new readers. But if you were a fan of the series and you were already reading it, they always felt like a waste of time. So most of the time, these one-shots lacked substance in their stories and felt like cash grabs. In this case, this one's a little bit weird. There's a couple of interesting decisions that they take in this story. But the story itself, it's pretty meh. So without further ado, let's get into this. Now, this one shot starts with Nightcrawler. He's training. It's sort of like a recurring thing with Excalibur. Nightcrawler seems to be the only member on the team that actually trains Danger Room style. When he's visited by Megan, who was, like, during this time, I'm not sure if she was the girlfriend to Captain Britain or not. They had a very off and on relationship. And the thing is that it's always shown in this series that she also sort of really likes Nightcrawler and even starts flirting with him there. And she also starts using her empathic abilities to shape change and look like Nightcrawler. Due to the nature of Megan's powers and that she actually, in her true form, she looks like a monster, she can empathize a lot with Nightcrawler. Also, both characters have like this natural affinity towards magic. And what happens is Captain Britain walks in on the situation. We get this awkward moment. So after a brief interaction between Nightcrawler and Captain Britain, so what happens after this is Nightcrawler is attacked by a monster and he recognizes this monster. Excalibur step in to save the day and they discover that the monster they're dealing with is Megan in her original form and on steroids. She is crazy powerful and she's subdued by Phoenix. And what we discover is that Megan has been possessed by some unknown entity. So what happens is the members of Excalibur contact Who and they tell them they have to go to this castle out in the middle of nowhere and this old man, they just call him Old Man, is going to help them with this. So they go to this place and they meet this old man that he calls himself Murd. He seems to be suffering some type of amnesia. And I have to say, this guy is zero help during most of the story. And he looks very similar to someone from Captain Britain's past. It's very obvious who I'm talking about. So while the story progresses, the possession of Megan gets worse and worse. Now, I totally forgot to mention the creative team of this one shot because it's going to be important now. So the writer, his name is Michael Higgins. The artist is Tom Morgan. He has like his very own distinct style. It's not my cup of tea, but I want to mention the colorist, Paul Mounts. So the thing is that we have like a lot of filler within this issue where Murd is trying to help, but he just doesn't help at all until in the back end of the story, he realizes, hey, why don't we have a seance? So they start channeling the spirits and we see characters from the past of Captain Britain, also from Shadowcat's past. And they're illustrated on the panel. You can barely see them because the color is really messed up. He used like in the background, a color way too dark. So you have a couple moments with speech bubbles and you don't see who's talking in the first place. Now, through this seance, we discover who's responsible for this possession. And it's really funny because the title of the story, because this one shot actually has two titles to it. And this one spoils the whole story. It's called Changeling. The shapeshifter from way back from the original X-Men days, who has no connection to any of the characters from Excalibur. And this is even referenced in the story itself. But the thing is that The ghost of Changeling mentions that Megan, due to her shape-shifting powers, and that she's an empath, she was easy to take possession of. So what happens is Nightcrawler and Captain Britain fight Changeling in the astral plane, and obviously they have a lot of help from Phoenix and Murd. They defeat the Changeling ghost, and when the story ends, Murd, thanks to this whole situation, regains his memories. And we discover, to no one's surprise, that Murd is actually Merlin. After dying, he popped up in the 616 universe, amnesiac. He took the name Murd. And he tells Captain Britain that he's happy that he passed the test. That's how this one-shot ends. You know, thinking about this story, it's so weird because Megan is a central character on the cover. The whole story revolves around her, and she doesn't really get an arc in this whole story. There's no focus on Megan herself as a character. So all I have to say about this story is that I'm probably never going to reread this one. So see you guys next time. Bye.